everyone! Today for How To Monday I have a more advanced technique to show you for the Italian tubular cast on. It's kind of a fun thing to learn how to do because it gives a really neat professional looking edge to like cuffs or socks or things like that. It sets you up to work knit one, purl one ribbing, and you've probably never heard of a tubular cast on before, but I bet you've seen it and you know what it looks like. So we'll change camera angles and I'll show you a close-up of what it looks like and how to do it. And yeah, that's it. So let's get started. So tubular cast-ons are used when you're going to be doing knit one, purl one ribbing. You've probably seen it. This is a cuff of a machine knit store-bought sweater. This is what a tubular cast-on looks like. The same on the outside and the inside. It kind of just folds over the edge, gives a seamless kind of look. It looks like it would be complicated to do, and it does take a little bit of practice, but it's not too scary. You don't see it a lot in hand knitting just because it is a little bit more advanced, but I think it gives a really neat edge. This is a pair of gloves I knit a while ago where I used the tubular cast on, and I'm doing the Italian tubular cast on, which is just, there's different methods of doing it. This one's my favorite. And it makes a really stretchy edge too, so this is really good for socks or anything that needs to stretch because it's very elastic and it'll shrink back to its shape. So I really like this cast on. And to do it, we're going to need yarn and we're going to need a pair of needles. I'm using straight needles today just for the sake of the tutorial, but you could do this with circular needles too. And to do it, I'm going to unravel some yarn. The tail end is going to be over to the right, and then the working yarn is towards the left. I'm going to take one of my needles, and I'm going to hold the yarn underneath the needle with the tail end again to the right, working yarn to the left, and I'm going to hold each end with my hands. The working yarn that I'm going to knit with my left hand, tail end with my right hand. Now to do the cast on is 4 steps. I'm going to do one step with one hand, second step, third step, fourth step, skipping back and forth between my two hands. So the first step is my left hand. The yarn goes over the needle and under. My right hand, the yarn goes under the needle and over. Left hand, over, under. Right hand, over, under. So that gives us 2 stitches. So over, under, under, over, over, under, and then over, under. And I'm going to write out these steps too on the blog so you can look at it too to see the written instructions. So over, under, over, over, under, over, under. So now we have 2, 4, 6 stitches. It makes multiples of 2, so I'm going to keep going. Over, under, over, 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 under, over, over, under, over, under. And once you get that rhythm, it can go pretty fast. It just takes practice to get the rhythm, but your fingers will get it. You'll start to be a little quicker at it. So I'm just going to keep going. And let's see, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. That's probably enough stitches for now. So now the next step is your tail end. We're just going to let that hang out. We're going to move. Make sure you keep tension on the yarns. You don't want anything to fall out. Just kind of pinch it. And then we're going to start knitting. There's 4 setup rows we have to do before we can start doing our knit one, purl one ribbing. Now we're going to start our setup rows. You're going to knit the first stitch. The second stitch, yarn comes in front, slip it purlwise, yarn in back, and then knit the second stitch. So you're continuing like that. Knit a stitch and slip a stitch. So knit a stitch, slip a stitch, and just continue doing that to the end of the row. Knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one. And keep doing that until the end of the row. And then do 3 more rows like that. So 4 rows total of the knit one, slip one pattern. And then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. So here's what our work looks like after 4 rows of the knit one, slip one pattern. It's kind of hard to see, it doesn't look like much right now, but now what you're going to do is start knitting your knit one, purl one ribbing. So knit one stitch, purl one stitch, knit a stitch, purl a stitch, all the way across the row, and then continue doing that until your your ribbing is as long as you want it. So I'm going to do a couple rows and then come back and show you our next step. So here's our work after I've done my 4 setup rows with the knit one, slip one stitch, then 4 rows of our knit one, purl one ribbing, and there's one last little step that we have to do. The tail end that we used at the beginning is running in a channel right in here. It's what we built the cast on top of. So if you look at your tail and you kind of give it a pull, it kind of runs the length of our cast on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other needle and I'm going to give a tug on the tail so I can kind of see it moving in that channel. I'm going to try and get in focus. So if I pull on this, hopefully you can see it moving. I can see it right here. That is my tail, so I'm going to pull it out. But if I tugged on the tail, this is going to be the thread. So it might take a little trial and error to see where that is, but if I pull on it, hopefully you can see in here in these stitches. You can see it moving. Do you see that? So I'm just gonna find it over here. That's the tail right there. And I'm just gonna give it a tug and then pull it through. And you would think it would unravel, but it doesn't because it's magical. And that's it. So that is your tubular cast on edge. Nice and stretchy, pretty easy to do. I think it gives, like I said, that really professional looking edge to things like the cuffs of your sweaters. It's just a really neat detail that you can work in and make your finished products look a little bit more professional. So I hope this wasn't too confusing for you guys. I think it's pretty easy. If you need any in-person help, just come see me in the shop and I'd be happy to show you in person. So that's the Italian tubular cast on. Pretty easy, fun. I just think it's a good thing to learn how to do. So that's it. Thank you for watching. For future How To Monday videos, you can subscribe to our videos on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. All the links for all those things will be down below. And we'll see you next time. Bye!